Good evening, glad you could join us. We begin tonight with an update. Earlier this week, 45 dogs were seized from a Brentwood Bay home after the dogs were found matted and filthy, some covered in feces, in the home of a man the SPCA is calling a hoarder. The dogs include dozens of miniature poodles. Since being dropped off, the SPCA says half have been groomed and half have seen a vet. The dogs are doing much better, but new problems and infections are popping up. The SPCA couldn't get into specifics, but says the dogs are getting proper medical attention.
Most of them have been groomed, and they're in the process of making sure all of the adults are groomed. Any veterinary care that they need, they're getting seen to. And we've got lots of devoted staff and volunteers that are spending a lot of time making sure that they're being cared for, they're being loved, they're being given, all the needs that they need.
The dogs were seized from this home on Wednesday. Their owner did not want to be interviewed. At least 2 of the dogs are pregnant and are expected to give birth in the next couple of days. The dogs still belong to the Brentwood Bay owner, who says he plans to get them back. An investigation is ongoing. For now, the SPCA says the dogs cannot be adopted. We've
had an overwhelming response of inquiries and certainly donations as well to help care for them, blankets and towels and sheets. It's been fabulous. The public have been very supportive.
The SPCA is still looking for help. If you have any clean sheets or blankets, you can drop them off tomorrow at the Victoria SPCA from 9 to 5. A Vancouver police dog is recovering in an emergency animal clinic after being stabbed last night. The injury occurred around 7:30 after police were called to a robbery at an Esso gas station on Marine Drive. When police arrived, witnesses reported seeing a man fleeing the scene after failing to rob the station. A police canine unit began tracking the suspect, and one dog found the man nearby. When police tried to arrest the man, he slashed the dog with a knife.
Not being there, I don't exactly have all the details, but a struggle ensued where the bad guy actually was slashing the dog. They thought he was punching the dog, but he's actually had a knife and slashed the dog.
Police say they are recommending charges of robbery, weapons, and assault against the 20-year-old man from Vancouver. Vancouver police are also investigating an early morning shooting in downtown Vancouver. Police say they responded to a call of a man down just before 7 a.m. near Granville and Smythe. It appears the man was involved in a fight just prior to the shooting. And back on the island, Victoria Police and the fire department spent their night dealing with a suspicious car fire. They were called to the 1700 block of Adirondack Street shortly after 7 o'clock last night. When they arrived, they found a car engulfed in flames. The fire department quickly put it out. The cause of the fire is under investigation. Now to a 93-year-old Oak Bay man who boarded a plane today for a flight back in time. Cleve Mauer was a pilot. He flew in the Second World War, and he won his wife over in a fearless flight that today she still has not forgotten. But Mauer stopped flying in 1945. You wish he hadn't, but he did. Now, nearly 70 years later, with the help of some friends, Mauer is getting back in the sky to show his friends and CTV News that he still has his wings.
Really?
If there's a day to pull out a piece of history, this is it.
Oh, I'm not nervous.
And why should he be? At the Victoria Flying Centre, Cleve Mauer's flying log dates back farther than anyone, all the way to 1941, when Cleve flew as a test pilot with the Royal Canadian Air Force.
I was just looking through that last night.
He loved to fly.
When we were just first married, he took me up on an AT-6.
The young pilot went all out.
So he went ahead and did some turns and flips.
The same type of aerial tricks you would see in the IMAX movie Air Races, a movie Cleve's friend took him to see a few months back. That's when it started.
Well, Cleve got all excited because he said he used to fly those. And he's just sitting on the edge of his chair. And he says, Peter, he says, if I could just sit in a cockpit again for 15 minutes, I'm sure I could fly one of those.
The 93-year-old has not been in a cockpit since the Second World War, but that didn't stop his friend from calling the Victoria Flying Club with an idea.
Well, I was interested, but I didn't think it would happen.
The friend asked if the club would take Cleve for a flight, and guess what they said?
That's it. Yeah, a little tight, but once you're there, you go. Just like old times, eh?
Absolutely.
He's been telling all his family and all his friends he's going flying again.
I had a sleepless night thinking about it, but now it seems like it's pretty exciting.
Moments before takeoff, a little deja vu.
Yeah, it's a good feeling. Better when you get in the air, though.
After a quick microphone check,
it's kind of cutting in and out a bit low, isn't it?
they're off. From this high up, it seems like you can see everything, but the one thing you can't see is Cleve. Only instructor Marcel Poland saw it.
He was just smile from ear to ear. He was grinning. He was just having a great time.
The biggest smile likely when Marcel let Cleve take control.
His flying was very good. He felt very comfortable in the plane.
Almost like he had been flying his entire life.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Like walking. Once you learn to walk, you can do it forever.
He may have taken a nearly 70-year break from flying, but Cleve will tell you in life it's best to do what you love, even if you have to wait 70 years to do it.
Quite an amazing man. He's certainly someone to, we can all learn something from him for sure.
With temperatures dropping below the freezing mark in Greater Victoria, an extreme weather protocol has been activated. Shelter beds are open tonight for the homeless. 370 beds are available at various city shelters, including the Salvation Army on Johnson Street, along with 115 sleeping mats. During extreme weather conditions, the shelter capacity expands from 265 up to 370 emergency beds and mats. For more information, you can go to vewp.net. The fight to slow things down on Victoria's streets is picking up a little speed. Victoria Councillor Shelley Gudgeon is leading the charge to lower Victoria's speed limits, making 40 the new 50. As we first showed you in November, the idea is to reduce the province's default speed limit from 50 to 40 kilometers an hour on residential streets. Gudgeon also wants to see more consistency with speed limits, especially on corridors that link communities where speed limits can often change from one block to the next. Victoria councillors are in the process of fine-tuning a resolution which would ask the Union of BC Municipalities to help lobby the province to make the change. Edmonton is in the process of considering 40-kilometer speed limits in residential neighborhoods after the city ran a pilot project in 6 of its neighborhoods. A group of volunteers undertook a massive bottle drive in the Comox Valley today, trying to raise funds for a young girl suffering with leukemia. The one-day event called Bottles for Ruby brought in loads of pop bottles and beer cans from throughout the Mid-Island. The bottles were being collected at École Puntledge Park Elementary School, where 9-year-old Ruby is a student.
Ruby is a little girl that has relapsed with leukemia. This is her second time fighting this disease, and it's been an absolutely wonderful turnout. There has been amazing community support, amazing helpers, lots of truckfuls just to help out Ruby.
Today's event was also assisted by fellow students, teachers, and regular members of the public. The event wrapped up at 2 o'clock this afternoon, but there are still ways you can help. You can contact the school for more information. Ruby is currently at BC's Children's Hospital. Welcome back. A woman who has spent more than a quarter century dedicating her time to the Special Olympics received a big surprise last night. Jo Osborne received the prestigious Queen's Diamond Jubilee Medal for her hard work and dedication to the organization. She began volunteering with the Special Olympics in 1986 and has held a number of positions over the years. Osborne received the prestigious medal during the Special Olympics winter dance last night, and she had no idea she was going to be honored.
I'm, to use an English term, gobsmacked, which is just, I'm astounded. It means that all the work that I'd done was really meaningful and people really appreciated it. And while I don't do it for that, it is very, very touching.
Osborne is in charge of all the locals in the region, ranging from Victoria to Salt Spring Island, Comox, and the Powell River. She organizes all the Special Olympics athletes. A big congratulations to Jo. Finally tonight, big game hunters on the North Island were bringing out their trophies today, looking for bragging rights and possibly an entry into the record book. The Courtenay and District Fish and Game Association was holding its annual Antler Measuring Day today. That's where club members are able to have antlers from moose, deer, and other wildlife measured by professionals. Now, it may seem like it's an easy task, but as CTV's Gord Kurbis shows us, it's more complicated than it looks.
They've been arriving all day, hunters with trophies in hand, looking to have their antlers and horns professionally inspected. That's because today is Antler Measuring Day.
And basically what you see here is all the different types of game mounts, horns or whatever, that the guys have successfully harvested in the fall.
Whether they're off a moose or a deer or a caribou, proud hunters are bringing their antlers here to show each other what kind of year they've had.
Elk antlers here, my step-downs.
So where do these come from?
McCready Creek and Gold River.
It's a bragging right, more or less, for the people that do hunt.
Doing the measuring are official scorers from the wildlife records of British Columbia.
About 15 measurements on it you have to do. It's circumferences, widths, and one goes against the other. Like the length of the tine, the main beam, you'll take and subtract the difference on it there. So it has to be even and big in order to end up being a good score.
Today there are a few that will make it into the official record books, but the number of entries these days are far fewer than in past years.
Today, some of the animals don't get as large as they used to be in the good old days, and some of the records have been in the books. There's probably records in that 1970 book that are still standing today.
For many, making it into these books is the goal, while others are content at just having something they'll be able to brag about each time someone gazes at what they've mounted on the wall.
The more perfect the mount, the odds are that they will have it mounted and put on the wall in their man cave, as we call it, because most of the guys, their women folk won't allow them to hang it in the living room. So.
No doubt many of those leaving here will be mounting their prized possessions at home. Gord Kurbis, CTV News, near Cumberland.